Hi, and welcome to The Leap. We are really glad you're here and want to thank you for joining us today. This is your podcast to guide you on how you too can make the leap from working for someone else to being in business for yourself full time. Before we dive in, remember you can find the entertaining video version of this episode and others on YouTube. Now, let's begin. Here's your host and fellow leaper, Tim May.
Hello and welcome to the Leap Podcast. It's Tim May for another awesome episode. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes,
I've got a good friend of mine, Miss Dee Bennett. How are you?
I am doing great. Excited to be here.
This is going to be really exciting. I was telling my executive producer all about you. And actually, I was telling my mom, I said, guess who I've got coming on the podcast? Because you and my mom know each other as well. I'm telling you, audience, when you listen to this, wherever you are, I don't know if you have just woken up and you're about to go to work, if you're driving to work, if you're about to go to sleep, whatever. Thank you for spending this 20 to 25 to 30 minutes with us. You're going to get a lot of value out of this. I'm going to pull some stuff out of you, Dee, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
So make sure you give it to them because you are rocking and rolling. Dee, tell our listeners, what is it that you do?
Okay, well, I am a realtor. I'm a full-time realtor. I used to be a full-time teacher for 27 years. But now I'm a full-time realtor.
Wow. So you were a teacher for 27 years in Virginia in the school system, public school, private school?
As public school, I taught first grade, second, fourth, and eighth grade.
Wow. So a lot of ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
And you transition. What was that transition like? What were you doing? Were you doing a part-time real estate and then kind of working your way up?
Yeah. So I was in a school that was kind of tough. And so I told my husband about some things that happened in my classroom, and they were kind of like dangerous type things that happened. So he was like, God, you got to help me get my wife out of this classroom. And so I took off work that day because it was just so much going on. I was just like, I got to get out of here. So I took off work, went to lunch or whatever. And he's like, God, get my wife out of this classroom. So about an hour or two later, he called me. He said, have you thought about real estate? I was like, what? What I got to do? Tell me what I got to do?
You were ready.
And I was like, whatever I have to do to get out of this situation, what I had to do, just tell me. So that's how it started.
And about what year was that? If
that
you can
was
recall.
2016.
So this is like recent then.
So 2016, that was the spring break of 2016 is when the idea came to my husband. And so it happened to be that the classes were starting like a couple weeks. We just signed up. He drove me to class. I went to class, took the class, tested the first time, passed it, and just been bowling ever since then.
Wow. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit because I want our listeners to get the whole story. Let's talk about where you grew up, where you're from. Talk about that.
I'm from Amelia County, which is about maybe 45 minutes from here, and went to high school. Of course, we had three schools in our county, so we're small. But then I went to college to become a teacher.
Where'd you go to school?
To William & Mary.
What? Whoa. Okay. Am I allowed to sit at the table with you? I mean, you sit at a table with someone from William & Mary. I mean, that's high up there.
And I got a full scholarship.
Is that right?
Full scholarship to William & Mary. I was the valedictorian of my class.
Wow. What did you study at William & Mary?
Education.
Wow.
So I started off to be international relations. But when I took those government classes, I was like, this is not what I really want to do. And so I really wanted to be a teacher, but it was kind of like, you're going to go to that school to be a teacher. You should be doing something else. I was like, no,
and that's what everyone else says and what their opinion is.
Yeah. Yep. My dad was like, you're wasting your time. Why would you go to a school like that just to become a teacher? I'm like, well, don't you want to have smart teachers in this world?
Listen, folks, listen. I want to pull something out because when you are someone that's looking to take the leap, and you know this more than anyone, there are going to be people that have good intentions, based on their knowledge and understanding that they're going to give their opinions of what you should do. And if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, ultimately you can only live your life.
Yeah. And you have to think about people who love you. They don't want to see you leap and fall. So that's not always from a negative space where they're saying, don't do this, don't do that. They don't want you to fall. They don't want you to be hurt. They don't want you to go without. So when they see you going in a direction that they don't understand, it's not a point that they're being a negative person. It's really out of love. But you got to know that, okay, I hear you, but I still got to go with what I need to know, what I need to do.
Right. Right. That's a very good point. So William & Mary, you graduate and you go right into teaching?
Yes, go right into teaching. And like I said, first, second, fourth, and then eighth grade. And that's when I was like, okay, this enough of this. Plus, 27 years is a long time.
Yeah. So spring break around 2016.
2016. Mm-hmm.
Your husband comes to you and says, you need to do something different. And you're like, amen, I need to do something different.
Yes.
And you start your real estate class.
Mm-hmm.
You knock it out the park because you were already studious.
Right.
Folks, when you want to take the leap, see all the things from your past it comes into what your future can be.
Yeah.
You were studious in the past. You can apply that to what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you can learn one thing back 10 years ago, you can learn something now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you take this class, you knock it out the park, and you get your real estate license.
Yeah.
Then what was your next step at that point?
Well, let me just back up 1 second because people kept saying, "Oh, you're going to take the test," but nobody passes on the first time. Nobody. So just expect that you're not going to pass on the first time. I'm like, people, you don't know what I'm going back to work to. You know, I'm going back to a situation that's sometimes not safe. So no, I'm going to study and I'm going to pass the first time. Because I was determined, no, I know what I'm trying to do. I know where I'm trying to go. And so I'm going to pass the first time. So I did. And I only have a few minutes left when the test was finished, but I did pass the first time. Then I went to a small brokerage and that just wasn't the right fit for me. And so I found United Real Estate and I actually knew the broker who was there. And it's like, once I got to that firm, my business just blew up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You said something. It's almost as if your back was against the wall in your current situation that forced you to say, I'm going to get it right the first time. And so if you're listening to this or you're watching this, your situation might be where, you know what, things are going on at home and you need to change. Things are going on at work and you're like, I can't take this anymore. Innovation comes sometimes out of these situations, these struggles sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I love that. So you start working with a new broker and then pick up the story from there. What happens?
So let me back up a little bit first to show just how much favor was on my business. I got my license on June 13th and I had my first contract June 18th.
Whoa.
So this is 2016. I got my license June of 2016 on the 13th.
Yeah.
On the 18th, I had my first contract. So that's 5 days.
Wow.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Wow.
I was crying, writing the contract, writing the offer. I was like, I don't know what to do. But my broker happened to be on the opposite side, so she really couldn't give me a lot of help because it would have been against, the situation. So I had to do it by myself. I got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, like, Lord, you kind of show me what this stuff means. I don't even know how to read. I don't even know how to fill this thing out, right? I don't even know how to do this. So when I took the guy through the house and I'm walking through, I'm thinking about HGTV. Okay, what do they do? You say this is that, whatever. Yeah. So I'm trying to go back in my mind about HGTV, right?
Yeah.
So I take him through the whole house and then we come to the kitchen. He's like, what do you want? I said, what do you want to do? And so he said, he thinks he want to put an offer. So his girlfriend said, well, how long you been doing this? I'm like, today. I was like, today is my first day. She's like, no way. I was like, yeah, this is my very first day. So from that point on, I just had contracts. And people were like, that doesn't happen. But since I didn't know, I'm thinking this is normal. But I started doing research like, no, that's not normal.
You have to start somewhere. And it starts with the first client. And so many people, they think that they have to have all their ducks in a row before they can get started. It's not going to happen.
No.
Those ducks are not going to always be in a row.
Right.
And you got to get started. And I bet you if I were a fly on the wall at that house, your first ever time, I bet you, although you may not have known all the intricacies of what to do, I bet you had enthusiasm.
Oh, yes.
I bet you they knew they can trust you. And see, when you start a business and you're working with clients, that's really what they'll get their questions answered. Or as a business owner, you can get their questions answered. But they're not going to do business with you just because you get their questions answered. They want to know, can they trust you?
Yeah.
And so that's what you had. And so contracts start coming in. And another thing you said, oh my gosh, I love this. You said, I didn't know that you weren't supposed to have all these different contracts early on. Talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, my husband was like, do you know most agents have like maybe one transaction in a year? in their first year. And so for the start, for me, 5 days after I got my license is when I got my first contract. And I just put my head down because, like I said, I wanted to get out of the classroom. There was a time when I really, really loved teaching, and I always told myself, when it gets to the point where you don't really love it, it's time to move on because those kids need a teacher who was really loving it. You know what I'm saying? Not that my students didn't love me. They couldn't sense how I was feeling on the inside. But I knew it was time for me to go. So
during this time when you were starting to get up and running, were you still teaching during the day and then showing in the evening and on the weekends?
Yes. So I happened to get off I believe I got off at 2:00. So that really gave me a lot of my time because most people don't get out of work till 5 anyway. So I could get up at 2 and then go to the office and do some paperwork or whatever. And then I could go show houses like 5:30. And so, I mean, it wasn't interfering because of the time that I got off work at 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for 3 years, working both jobs. And oh my goodness. I mean, it was to the point sometimes I was like, I could not catch my breath because it was so much happening. And so by the 3rd year, I was like trying to tell my husband, okay, we can do this. I'm not going to leave teaching on faith. Because faith is not going to pay any bills. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people want to do it. And the thing is, when I first got into real estate, I was so excited. And I just knew I want to get out of teaching. And I went and talked to my co-pastor. I told her about it. I was all excited. And I think this and I think that. And I want to leave teaching. She's like, well, there's a difference between faith and foolishness. So when I went to her office, I said to myself, whatever she tells me, I'm going to do it, whether I agree or disagree. I'm going to do whatever she says. I wanted her to say, oh, yes, I've heard from God. And he says that this is the right time for you to leave teaching. She was like, no. There is a difference between faith and foolishness.
Yep.
And so I had to just suck it up and be like, okay, it's not time now. I'm not trying to live, struggle. I'm not trying to leave teaching to struggle. That doesn't make any sense. So when it got to the point where the money was just flowing, it's like, okay, we don't have to do both. I don't have to do both. So it took a little convincing because my husband was like, okay, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. So he went and got some advice about it too. So the main thing is don't do anything on your own. Get some advice. Don't just jump out there because you think you heard from God. Because I made that mistake before in another business and I fell flat on my face.
Mm-hmm.
So even with God, 2 + 2 is still going to be 4.
Okay.
And 2 + 2 is not 4, then you need to hold tight.
Yeah.
Because you still have to eat. You don't want your family looking at your dream and they're like struggling because you're dreaming.
And you know what? I think another one serendipity about when you make the leap at the right time, when it's been confirmed that it's the right time, there is a level of comfort that you have, good comfort, that when you're working with a client, whether they buy or not, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yes.
When you take the leap and it's the wrong time.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, you like, Lord, please help this person to buy this, whatever. And they can sense that.
Yes. We call it commission breath. And so when you have commission breath, and it's been seasons in my business where I had commission breath, it's like, this person's pre-approved for this amount. They have got to get this house. They've got to see they have to get this house. It's like, and the person's like, they run. It's like,
because in business, success is when you serve the person. They're not to serve you. And when you can help people, and that's the spirit, there's going to be success. I love it. So walk me through the kind of the period where you were like, it's time to take the leap and go full time, from being a full-time teacher and, evenings and weekends as a realtor to taking a leap and being full time.
Okay, so this is like, my goal was to leave teaching February 1st because that was the day I could actually retire from teaching. It was February 1st, 2019. And so I was pressing. Like I said, had my head down. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. But when December rolled around, the money, I couldn't see it. The money wasn't there. So it's like, okay, do you just go forward anyway? Because you told everybody that you're going to leave February 1st. You told people that you're not going to be there the next Monday or whatever. So it's like, okay, you know what? These people don't have anything to do with my finances in my household. So I need to just be like, okay, no, I'm not. This is not the right time. So I just didn't leave in February. And so I, went back, just stayed in teaching. But then around about, after April or so, it's like, okay, now it's like it started just rolling like crazy, just rolling in, and you could just see it. And so the money was just there to the point where it's like, it's no reason to have to stay. Because I mean, the amount of money I made in that summer was what I make in a whole year of teaching. So when you get that kind of numbers looking at you, okay, I'm going to make this amount of money this summer versus what I was making a whole year of teaching, I think we're good.
It's time. It's time.
Yeah.
So you make the leap. And what is that conversation like with your husband?
Not so good.
Yeah, talk about that. We have people that
kind of
watch.
like, but yeah, this summer is good. But what's going to happen in September? And what's going to happen in October?
Which are legitimate questions.
Yeah, so you had this, but who's going to be buying a house in November? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know who's going to buy a house in November, but I can just see this is working.
Yes.
Everything we're doing is working.
Yes.
And so it took him a while. And so he finally talked, like I said, he got advice from our assistant pastor, shared some numbers and stuff with him. And he was like, yeah, sounds like it's good, you know? And so he came home, he thought I had, he said, you probably called him and told him what to say. I said, no, I did not. I did not do that. So he was like, once he kind of was like, okay, because it was just fear. I mean, it makes sense.
Yep,
you
sure.
know? But he finally came on board with it. And so I turned my paperwork in, and then it's just been rolling ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
So right now, the time in the recording of what we're doing right now is at a time where a lot of people are out of work. There's been a lot of people sick.
Mm-hmm.
With COVID-19 and things like that, it's very real.
Mm-hmm.
Talk though about what started to happen at the very beginning, because I reached out to you because I saw you say something that was so profound, and it actually stiffened my spine and got me like, okay, Tim, you better get on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was, I don't know, in March or so, where the news started coming out, people getting sick.
Yeah.
Talk about that time period and what you've been able to accomplish during that time period, because people need to hear it.
Well, I want you to also share what I said to kind of.
Please do.
Okay, you share what I said to you.
Yeah.
The part that got you. But I don't look at the news that much. Okay, so I don't see every detail about everything that's going on. Sometimes that's good, sometimes not. It's not good. But anyway, that's just something I don't do because I just can't take all that negativity.
Yeah.
And that's just something I've been doing for years. So when it all hit, I didn't know what was going on as far as what I should do in my business. So people still calling me saying, I need to buy a house, I need to sell a house or whatever. So I'm just walking along, helping people get into their house, getting pre-approved and all that kind of stuff. And so then I started paying more attention, and realtors were like, we're going to have to apply for the loan and we're going to have to do this. I'm like, I don't know what's going on with y'all, but my business is like booming. I mean, I had more sales in that time than I have ever had. So it was about not hearing what other people were saying about it's going to die down. This is going to happen. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do that. I'm like, while you all trying to apply for a stimulus check or you're trying to apply for some type of loan, I'm showing houses.
Yes.
So I'm just got my head down, and I just believe God put me in this business, and he didn't put me in this business for it to fall down. People are selling and buying houses every day. So why should I be one of the agents that's helping people?
And that's exactly the point.
Okay.
That's exactly the point. And I heard you say that, and I start creeping into the woe is me and I've put in hard-earned money into this, and I had to lay off 5 employees that were relying on me, and this and that. And I heard you say, I didn't stop. I kept my head down and kept serving people and working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then to have one of the best months that you had ever had. Can you share any numbers? Because people like to hear numbers. Just anything you want to share.
The numbers were 1.6 million in sales in 1 month.
In 1 month.
And I mean, I've had my first year in real estate, I did 1.6 million.
Okay, wait a minute. It's gonna go over people's heads. I want you all to hear this again. In the middle of legit people getting sick, bad things happen all across the world. Yeah. The news inundating you with negative. Yeah. Whether it's true or not, it still can have an effect on you if you absorb it. Yeah. Yet you kept your head down, and in 1 month, what was it?
1.6 million in sales in 1 month. And like I said, when I I had my head down so much I wasn't paying attention to the numbers. But then when I kind of picked my head up and I was like, whoa. Because like when you put your head down, you're not looking at every little detail. You're just putting your head down. You're just trying to help people, people calling, take them to show them houses or whatever. And you just get on this like wheel. And it's like, then you stop and realize, oh my Lord, what happened?
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. And so I'm just thankful that I didn't let the news get into me because like I said, it's a habit. It's not something new I just started doing. I haven't looked at the news, like some people look at it every night. But in general, I may see the news once a week. And my parents are like, you're crazy. You need to know what's going on. I was like, no, if something really crazy happens, you're going to let me know. You're going to call me. But I can't see every little thing that happens all day long. Right. So if it's a snowstorm, my cousins know, give me a call. Hey, it's going to snow this weekend. Go to the grocery store. Okay, thanks. They know. Because I'm not looking at that stuff every day.
There's so much truth to what you just shared. And this is a podcast to help inspire people who have already taken a leap and they want inspiration, some practical knowledge. Mm-hmm. For people who maybe they've started a business, but they're working full time, like what's your situation, but they want to take the leap. And for folks that maybe they don't even know what they want to do, but they like the idea of being their own boss full time. And people are always looking for the practical, the X's and O's, I like to call it. But the not taking in the negative, that's practical.
Oh, yeah, it's very practical.
Because every success is in the mind. And you literally just said, I wouldn't allow that negativity to affect me. And you had the biggest month
ever. Ever.
Talk about what you got going on right now and then where you see yourself in 2 or 3 years.
Okay, so my business took off so much. And like I said, working 2 jobs, basically full-time teaching and full-time real estate. And so when I left teaching and did full-time real estate, I was still in that grind mode. I was just still in that mode because I was in it. That was where I was. So a couple months ago, I went to the hairstylist and she happened to tell me that I'm losing my hair on the top of my head. Oh, okay. We need to do something different here. Because I was just on a grind. I've always been like that, just in
You're
general.
a worker. That's just who you are.
So I was just going. And when she said, what's going on right here? And I was like, what are you talking about? She said, I'll take a picture of it and show you. So I came home and told my husband, I said, look, this is all good, but even blessings can get overwhelming.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. It was just overwhelming. And so now I have a virtual assistant, thank God. And so she has been helping me like catch my breath and be like, okay, she's handling all the paperwork. I can do other things. And so that's been a huge blessing. And then I also have 2 other agents that I'm coaching. And so right now when they have transactions, I help them and I get a percentage of what they're doing. And then if I need something to do something like, go to a home inspection for me or something like that, we have an agreement where I pay them to go do that for me. So it's like 3 hours out of my day that I don't have to be out there doing it, you know? So that's been the thing that's helped me the most recently because it's like, you can't do it all. Once it starts going, you're going to need some help, but you got to know when to get that help.
Right. What are you able to do now that you're full-time in business for yourself that you were not able to do when you were a teacher?
Sit right here with you at 2:00.
Yeah.
It's freedom. I mean, not having to get a substitute. Because even when I was teaching, if I had a closing, I would have to get a substitute to go to the closing. If I had a home inspection and I had to do it at a certain time, I have to get a substitute to do it. So now I don't have to get a substitute to do anything. Anything I want to do, I can do it. So sometimes my granddaughter's daycare might be closed or she may not be feeling well. I can watch her. No problem. Now, if I was still in teaching, I don't know what I would do. I would have to take off work to watch her. And so that type of thing is freeing. Even this morning, I went out walking, 10 o'clock. I can take care of myself.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Take care of myself, take care of my family. I can just be free.
The leap, it's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It really is. Where can they find you?
Well, how would I say the telephone is, people don't use the phone like we used to.
Yeah.
But the phone is still
okay.
workable.
Give them your phone number.
So
Go ahead, give me your phone number.
Is 804-382-8972. So someone can call me, Dee Bennett, 804-382-8972. That's probably the easiest way. I do have an email address, but it's kind of complicated. If I say it, they probably won't remember it. So, so the phone number is the best way.
You keep rocking and rolling.
Yes.
I really enjoyed this.
Good.
I hope you all got a lot of value out of this. I know I did. The virtual assistant spoke to my soul. I need to get on that. So thank you for that. And again, wherever you are, you're listening to this, you're watching this, I hope you got a lot of value out of this. This is Tim May with the Leap Podcast with special guest Dee Bennett.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you are notified when a new episode is posted. Rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends who you know would also love to take the leap. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you are leaving with some great things that can help you on your pathway to full-time business ownership. Now go out there and put one foot in front of the other. Until next time.